Hi, welcome to the Roberts & Co London channel. In future I'd like to make some videos, behind the scenes videos, showing how I actually manufacture my collection. But this isn't going to be a piece for my collection, it's actually a one-off. It's my girlfriend's Christmas present. I'll be using a piece of 18 carat rose gold 1.5mm diameter wire, a piece of sheet 8mm squared by 2mm thick, again 18 carat rose gold, and this 2mm diameter diamond. There are currently lots of pictures and images of star rings in the style magazine she reads, but none of the designs were exactly what she was looking for. So by having her describe the features she did like and the parts of the design she didn't like, I've managed to build up an image in my mind of a design I think she would like. Most of the 18 carat and diamond rings used very textbook geometric stars, and she wanted one that was more asymmetrical, or twinkle twinkle little star as she described it. So I've drawn an asymmetrical star on a piece of paper, stuck it to the sheet, and I'm simply going to cut it out using a piercing saw and files. Most designers you will see penning really elaborate drawings before they do any of this. I realised very early on designing jewellery on paper, then making it, was not the way I was going to work. Paper and pens don't work for me in the way precious metals and gems do. Unless of course sketches help the conversation for commissions, I have to make the piece without any drawings, and then when it's finished make technical drawings in case I need to recreate the piece later. And as there are no drawings, I can change the design as I go. I often think of ways to improve the design in my mind as I work. My pieces evolve. And this way is not the way most people work, but it suits me much better. Okay, so the star's made. I just need to drill a hole and burr out the setting for the diamond. I'll use a steel tapered mandrel called a triplett to form the wire into a ring. I'll get the perfect round ring shape so I can cut the metal to size, but then I'll probably solder it together slightly over. That's just so I can get a perfect flush joint. Once it's soldered together I can put it back in the round using the triplett and mallet again. Okay, so now the ring's ready to solder together. It's slightly oval, it's just so that I get a perfect joint. Once it's soldered together I will then make it round again and then solder the ring to the star. It's only a small ring, so a basic little jeweler's soldering torch will have enough kilowatts to get this up to the temperature, about 700 or 800 degrees centigrade required to melt the gold solder. It's important to cover the ring and especially the joint in flux before applying any heat. I'm using a liquid flux designed for gold soldering. I'm then going to position a small amount of gold solder on the joint, and I'm actually going to use slightly more than I would if I was just soldering the ring together, because I'm going to solder the star on at the same position. I'll switch the bench light off before applying the heat. It's much easier to get a sense of temperature through the colour of the metal in dim lighting. Once the joint on the ring is soldered together, I'll then clean it up to remove a lot of the oxide produced by the heat, so I can then solder it to the underside of the star using the clamps on this soldering table to hold the ring upright while the stars face down on the soldering block. Obviously this is not a how-to or a tutorial for any of these techniques, it's simply a walk through the techniques I'll use to manufacture a ring. If you think tutorial videos or how-to videos would be interesting, then leave me a note in the comments below on the techniques that you think would be useful. If it would prove popular, maybe I could add a tutorial section to the channel. Okay, so now I have the star soldered to the top of the ring, and I've drilled and ground out a setting for the diamond to fit into. Okay, so now I'm going to use a graver to raise small beads of gold over the diamond. It will also simultaneously engrave lines up to the diamond, so I'll do it in line with the points of the star to accentuate the star shape. Once the ring was soldered together, it was cleaned and polished just to remove any oxides, but once it's set it will need cleaning again and polishing to a mirror finish. I'm actually wearing a headband magnifier to do this setting so that I can see what I'm doing. When I started out I used to use these for all my settings, but I now use a microscope. The only reason I'm not using the microscope now is because when it swings out over the bench it gets in the way of the camera. So once I've finished setting the diamond I'll then need to clean and polish it. And also, before this ring could be legally sold in the UK, it will require a hallmark. My maker's marks are registered with the Goldsmiths Company Assay Office here in London. So all my hallmarking's done here in London, but there are also offices in Birmingham, Sheffield and Edinburgh, I believe. So here we have the diamond set asymmetrical star ring made of 18 karat rose gold.